Okay. So I asked Thaddeus if he would come on to the Magical Frequency Collective Facebook group and do a quick, I don't want to say quick, maybe 45-minute, let's say 45 minutes. Let's keep it to that masterclass on how do we utilize the UV rays, the last of what we've got here in the northern climate. And if you're not in northern climate, like how do you find out how much UV is in your atmosphere? So he's going to do some screen sharing and share with us how he finds that out. And if you're coming in, come in the comments and say hi. And at any point in time, ask questions. I love that. And ask Thaddeus tons of questions, you guys. We love getting and fielding questions. Let me just turn off my mail here. Or is this going to keep dinging? Okay. So vitamin D, it's not what you think. And so he's going to talk about how to harness the power of the sunlight and the power of nature to take back your health. And we're talking a lot about that this morning. And we're talking about like in the world of sovereignty and taking back, right, our freedoms. And you guys, health is such a big part of that, right? So especially right now, as we're back in school and things are moving around and whatever theory you believe in, you know, that's not this platform, but Thaddeus and I are all about how do we use the earth. I was just out grounding. I was grounding all morning. I just did some more grounding. I just did some breath work and I'm out in the sunlight, the last of what we've got. And actually, I was doing that because I got stung by a bee yesterday on my foot. And I've been really trying to get the inflammation out of it by grounding. This morning, I was out in the morning sunlight. So like all the things that are wild and free in nature that we're not taught this stuff, right? So this is really great, like vault opening information that Thaddeus is going to share with us today. Okay, so vitamin D, how do we get it? When can we get it? In what climate? And then how does it actually work? So we're going to get a little sciencey today as we bring Thaddeus in. All right, just want to make sure I covered all the things. So are you ready, babe? All right, without further ado, here's Thaddeus. And let me just take off the background, my lovely background, but it matches your shirt. Oh, you're like a ghost over there. Okay. Oh, hold on. Can you put that over here? All right, you guys, give Thaddeus some love. I'm actually gonna change positions with you so you're not like in that weird sunlight.
And my head's cut off too.
Okay, but you gotta move over there.
I'm getting pushed over.
Yeah, I push him around a lot. That's
okay.
not true.
Is this going to stay here?
That is not going to stay here. Okay, and then when we need to screen share, just let me know. I'm just going to look at comments super quick and see if anybody. All right, so here we go. If you're here, come in and say hello. Give Thaddeus some love. And without further ado, we are recording. Cross check. All right. What did I say? Cross check.
All right, everybody. So remember, we don't necessarily have to take our freedoms back. We have always had the freedom to do these things. It comes from inside of us, and it was given to us when we entered this matrix that we're in. So remember, you never have to ask permission for these things. If you have to ask permission and be licensed, you are not free. That is something that is illegal to do that you're asking permission for and getting a permission slip. We don't need a permission slip to optimize our biology and stay healthy. So what we're going to teach today in this vitamin C opening the vault course is, did I say vitamin C?
Yeah.
I'm drinking some vitamin C here. I'm like,
no.
Vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
So the first thing that I want to have you all realize is most people are thinking like vitamin D. How do we take vitamins? So I go out and I have this great big thing and it's full of vitamin C and it's full of other vitamins as well and minerals, and you eat those, you consume the vitamins and they get into your body. So when we think of calling this thing, and whoever thought of calling this vitamin D maybe had a purpose or they just were confused, because vitamin D is not a vitamin. So I think that is the first thing that people get confused about. And if we're thinking of vitamins, we think we can ingest them and get the vitamin into our body. But D is a hormone. It's a corticosteroid hormone. And none of us think that we need to go out and kill an animal or harvest a plant to put hormones into our body. Where do we get hormones from? They come from inside. So we manufacture hormones in our body. We would never think to go out and get a pill to eat a hormone. In fact, if you have somebody that you know taking hormone replacement therapy, oftentimes that is injected or used as a cream to get it through the skin into the blood, because you don't eat hormones. That's not how you get them in the body. So calling D a vitamin is very confusing to most people, because then we all think about it as a vitamin. And if we think about it as a hormone, we start to ask a few more important questions. So I think that's really the first thing to clear up, is not a vitamin. It is a hormone. And as such, we are supposed to make that in our own body.
That is fabulous. Like, I learned something from Thaddeus every time he talks. That is amazing. Like, I feel like I've heard you say that before, but like, why would people call it vitamin then? Like, who did that? Like a scientist?
Yeah, we don't call testosterone a vitamin.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying I'm not exactly sure how this came about. And I do think, like, you can have hormones in food, just like when they inject hormones in cows to make them bigger and meatier, not meteor, like the thing going through the sky in the fake space. So how do you get hormones? We generate them. Now, if you ate a bunch of hormones that were in meats, you could probably get some of them into your body. And so most of them would be broken down in the digestive tract, but some would get in there, like these estrogenic compounds and other things that are probably not helpful. So D, there are forms of D. I'm not going to call it vitamin D. There are forms of D in certain foods. And so we know, like, oh, my milk is quote unquote fortified with D, or I get some D from egg yolks or something like that, right? So there are examples of D being in food, but what we're finding in the nutritional studies is taking a pill form of D or consuming it from food does not really satisfy improving the blood levels of D in your body so that it can do the work that it is supposed to do. So that's the first secret, is that it's not actually a vitamin. The second thing that I want you all to be aware of is, like, what can D do? And we are going to show on the screen share a couple things, but I'm just going to run through a few just with you before we share that screen, which is vitamin D, or hormone D, reduces cancer risk by 60% for numerous cancers. And with cancers growing, maybe pun intended, all the time in our modern society, we all want to reduce our risk as much as possible. And D is really a helpful way to prevent at least 16 types of cancer. It also reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes, chronic inflammation, macular degeneration, and Alzheimer's disease. And it increases your ability to fight infections from things like bacteria. Now, if you go over to Dr. Mercola's website, and we're going to show this in a little bit, but on the website, he has a whole host of vitamin D education that is really helpful in understanding. So on his website, it shows that vitamin D helps prevent cancer, autoimmune disorders, osteoporosis, mental disorders, chronic inflammation, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disorders, viral infections such as cold, pneumonia, and flu, tuberculosis, and more. That's all this one compound, this D compound. So that is amazing that it can do all these things. Now, the downside is that more than 85% of Americans, according to the latest statistics, are deficient in D. So when we measure blood levels of D, the ability of the D in your body to get to the cells and have all these benefits for you, it's not getting there because it's not available in the body. So if we can make D in our body as a hormone, and it is so beneficial, the body wants a lot of D around, why are so many of us deficient? So that's a really good question that we all should be
Yeah.
asking ourselves. Well,
Wait. Okay. So in my mind, I'm like, I can be very logical and very abstract at the same time. But how do we know? Like, how do people know if you're D deficient? Like I guess, I mean, if you get sick, you maybe can infer that you're D deficient, but you have to get labs drawn or.
yeah, the only way is a blood test, and they're really inexpensive. So Dr. Mercola actually runs, or at least he used to run, his own vitamin D testing program through like the I think he called it vitamin D, but the D Council. And he might still do that. So you could go to mercola.com and you could look for the test kit. You can have your own doctor. Doctors love pulling vitamin D because everyone's really enamored with D at the moment. You can have your doctor pull blood for D, and you can go almost anywhere to a place that draws blood for labs, and they're very inexpensive to do a test for this in your blood. And they look at like hydroxy vitamin D or hydroxy D in the blood, which is the active form. And most people are below 20, I think the units are nanograms per milliliter. So they're below 20 nanograms per milliliter in the blood. So 20 is the number. They're at 20 or below. And where we quote unquote should be is 50 to 70. So 50 to 70 is considered normal. 20 is really insufficient D levels. And as biohackers and people interested in optimizing our health, we don't want to be average. We want to be optimal. So who wants to like just be average and not have the best health ever? I think we all want the best health ever. So if 50 to 70 is normal or average, you may even want to be slightly above those levels. And as we'll learn in a couple seconds here, being above those levels is critical if you live in a northern climate like we do, because you're almost certainly unlikely to get D after October, especially where we live. So if you can't get any more, well, how the heck does your body get the D it needs all winter when all the quote unquote influenza or cold and flu season starts? That's when you need it the most, but it's when you can't get it from this area.
So I've heard you say it's actually not cold and flu season, it's lack of vitamin D season.
That's so it's a time of the year when things get cold, the seasons are changing. And as the seasons change, we often eat different things. The sun is giving us different information. And many people go through a detoxification period during this time,
Right.
as well as we're not getting the D as seen in blood levels. So as that level of D drops, our ability to detox things from the body or quote unquote get a cold or flu increases.
Oh, interesting. Okay, do you want to screen share now, or do you want to keep?
I've got a couple more things
Okay.
before we share the screen and kind of show you how to navigate some of this stuff on your own. And the first thing is, if D doesn't really come from food and we make it in our body, but we're suddenly not making any more when it becomes late fall and winter, well, how do you get D in the first place? So most of you should know by now that the sun creates D in our bodies, specifically in our skin. So the sun rays, it provides a lot of information in the rays that come off the sun. Specifically, it's creating 3 types of rays in the ultraviolet range. So ultraviolet A, B, and C. Those are just different wavelengths of invisible ultraviolet light. So ultraviolet A, we are all familiar with because it can give us a suntan. It can also increase nitric oxide in the body. So nitric oxide, when it's increased, we have lower blood pressure and lots of other health benefits. So we want more nitric oxide. We want some of that UVA. The sunlight called UVB is what allows us to manufacture D on the skin from sulfonated cholesterol. That's right. Cholesterol is used to make hormones, including the hormone D. No cholesterol, no D production in your body. Your body has a natural ability to make its own hormones given the right stimulus, which is ultraviolet B from the sun. And you only get ultraviolet B from the sun at certain latitudes, at certain times of the year, and at certain times of the day. In addition, you must expose about 70% of your skin to the sun in order to get vitamin D to be made. So most people that are going outside with their hat, their sunglasses, their sunscreen, and their clothing are not going to make any vitamin D in their skin. You must have about 70% of the skin showing with no sunscreens, no clothing, none of that, in order to produce the hormone D on your skin and allow it to absorb into your blood and eventually your fat cells and your body. So vitamin D or hormone D is fat soluble. That's the other really important thing you need to know. And what does this mean? It means we can store it in our fat. So even somebody like me that doesn't look like I have a lot of fat, there's at least 10% body fat on this body to store hormone D for the winter when I can use it at the time when I need it. But if I'm not storing this all summer long by taking off enough clothing and exposing my skin to the sunlight, then I won't have any in my fat cells that has been stored for me to use when I need it. Now, the important thing is that exposing enough skin at the right time of day and the right time of year is the next piece. So it's a lot, but it's actually really easy.
Like I've heard him say this so many times, and you guys, we learn by repetition. And every time you say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, got to get all this stuff down. Where did you learn all this stuff? Is this Dr. Cruz? Like, is this where you originally learned all the cholesterol and all that content?
Dr. Mercola,
Okay.
Dr. Jack Cruz, and so Mercola is just Mercola.com, drjackcruz.com. You have to sign up to be a member for both of them. Mercola was kind of banned from the internet, so he only has a private membership now where you can learn everything, where it used to be free. I don't know if it's free or paid now, but you definitely have to be a member. And Dr. Cruz is a paid membership only. He has tons of information. And then I went to PubMed, and I'm trying to think of some of the articles, but there are some really good published articles on PubMed about sunlight and how biologically sulfonated cholesterol creates hormone D in the skin from sunlight. Lots of articles on that appear in PubMed. It's well known in biology. It's no secret. It's just normally kept from us because we add vitamin D2 into our milks as a fortification agent. But in fact, vitamin D2 is not biologically active. It's only the D3 form of D that's biologically active. And yes, you can take D3 pills or fortify things with D3, but it is not nearly as effective as creating your own hormone D from sunlight.
Okay, so wait, what's the difference between D, D2, and D3 then? Like just kind of simplify it.
They're just different forms of the molecule that have different attachments to the molecule itself. And if you change the configuration or the attachments to a molecule, it completely changes how the body uses it. That's just like taking magnesium from a rock. You can chip magnesium out of the ground, and it's called magnesium hydroxide. It's connected to an OH group, the magnesium hydroxide. You put it in your body, nothing happens. Your body cannot use it. You instead attach the magnesium to an organic molecule like an amino acid. Now your body can absorb it and use it. So different forms of vitamin D are more usable than others.
So when they say they're adding fortified vitamin D, it really doesn't mean anything because it's not absorbable. It's not bioavailable.
Most of it is D2, which is can be very toxic to the body and is not really usable.
Wow.
It's a hormone, and the body wants to take sulfonated cholesterol and make it's like 5D hydroxy D in the body.
So what are some of the foods besides milk they add that to? Everything? Like
they add it to a
cereals?
lot. I'm not sure if they add it to cereals anymore. I don't really look at traditional mainstream processed foods anymore. I used to do a lot of that when I was learning all these things back in 2001. But honestly, I haven't looked at what is being fortified with D anymore. And they make D pills, and some of the D pill, quote unquote, vitamin D pills will be D2. Don't take those. Also, in your skin from the sun, vitamin D, quote unquote, vitamin D is sold in units, international units, IUs. Typically, you'll see like 500 IUs of vitamin D in a pill. And if you took 5,000 IUs of vitamin D in a pill, that could cause a toxic reaction because it's fat soluble, it remains in the body, and that could be too high of a dose. However, from the sun, remember about 5,000 from a pill can be too high, but from the sun, you can absorb or manufacture 50,000 IUs in your skin in one sun session, and it is not toxic, and it will be stored in your body for use later. So you can never take as much D from a pill than you could manufacture in 30 minutes out in the sun. That is a critical point. And how do we get it from the sun? It is only when UVB light is present at the right angle to produce it in the skin. So this is what I want to show you, is how to determine on your own when the sun is at a position where you can manufacture D in your skin.
Okay, wait, is this a good time to ask you questions about the vitamin stuff? Should we like wrap up the vitamin myth stuff right now, or do you want to do more questions at the end?
Yeah, we can do some of that.
Okay, so I guess in my, like, what I've heard from people, right, you guys, that their healthcare professionals say, well, I don't need to do this because I'm supplementing with D3. And I've had some people even have their levels checked. Is there a placebo? So I have a couple questions. Is there a placebo effect? Like if you tell somebody like sugar pill, they're getting D and their vitamin level D goes up by lab results. Like, is that something? Or like, why do people prescribe D then to people throughout the winter?
So if your D levels are low, mainstream medicine says the answer is a pill. They're not going to tell you, like, what doctor tells you to go out and sit in the sun?
Well, our homeopath does.
Dr. Jack Cruz, Dr. Mercola,
yeah.
Two traditional doctors that will tell you to go sit out in the sun. Other than that, they're going to give you a pill. That's how their world view has been ingrained into them. And so the answer is always a pill because that's how they've been trained. Now, they're looking at studies. So if you did a study where you drew blood and somebody had low D and you gave them a D3 pill, are they going to increase levels of D? Sometimes, but not always. Some people respond okay to pills and their D levels will increase. What we're finding in the studies is that it will only increase to a certain level, and then it will not increase further with higher dosages of the pills. In addition, you don't get the full benefit of taking the pill that you would get from absorbing this from the sun. Specifically, when your body absorbs enough ultraviolet B radiation to make D, it will change from making hormone D to making two anti-tumor compounds in the skin and sending those to the blood. The D pill will never have that effect.
Oh.
So not only are you manufacturing D in your blood, but you are also manufacturing anti-tumor compounds that you cannot get from a pill as a benefit.
So they wouldn't be measuring that. So you really wouldn't know, like if you get labs done.
They're not measuring what?
What you just said.
They don't measure that anti-tumor effect because that doesn't happen from the pill.
Okay.
So what science says is low vitamin D can be cured with a pill. And it can, like you can move the needle a little bit, but it's like if the hormone is manufactured from a signal from light, then putting the pill into your body doesn't give your body the signal that normally comes along with the stimulus. So it's like, I don't really know like a good analogy, but it'd be like you give somebody the money in their bank account without ever telling them that it's there, and you put it in a bank account that they don't know about, they'll never see it. So like they have to figure out like why they got the money, and they have to know they have it, and then they have to know how to use the money. And if you just kind of hide it under their mattress and never tell them, they'll sell their mattress or give it away and never know that they had all that money. It's like they have all this stuff stacked up, but they can't use it. So I think you can like stack the body full of D, but it can't use it because it doesn't really know how it got there. And it never got the signal like, hey, here's this information. Let's make use of it.
Okay. All right. I just want to take a pause for a moment and just say hello to anybody who's just coming into the Facebook group. We're already like getting a big head start on the lecture. So make sure you go back and watch the beginning, watch the replay. And just wanted to welcome everybody here. Welcome Christopher, Baxter, Tara Ann, Hetty, and B. I know you were here earlier. So just wanted to say hi to everybody. Hey. Okay. So couple questions. I have a couple questions about sunscreen. And do we want to talk about that, or do we want to talk like about that later? And then do you want to field some questions over here?
Let's finish up some of the basics first.
Okay.
So first of all, UVB has to be present in the atmosphere for you to make vitamin D, period. You will not make vitamin D if there's no UVB. So when is there UVB in the air that can land on our skin? That only occurs at certain times of the year, certain times of the day, depending on the latitude where you live. So first of all, what does this mean? When the sun is at a certain angle, it's more intense. We know that because when you get out at sunrise, the sun is not as intense or hot as it is at noon. As the sun angle from the horizon gets steeper, the rays more directly hit our skin. So the rays will start out hitting our skin this way at sunrise to this way, pounding. Like imagine a jackhammer and you're just brushing the skin with a jackhammer. Nothing's going to happen really. But put the jackhammer this way. This is exactly what light is doing. The light is hitting the skin and it has a real physical effect. And as it hits the skin, it penetrates in the skin to the vitamin D receptors, hits the sulfonated cholesterol and makes vitamin D. So UVB, this magical form of sunlight, is only available when the sun angle, and this is going to become really easy, but this is the technical, when the sun angle is between 25 degrees to 50 degrees to the horizon. So what does that mean? Like you've got to look up the sun angle and know when it's 25 to 50 degrees to the horizon. And when it is in those positions, UVB is present and you can make vitamin D. Now, to the horizon, and when it is in those positions.
Sorry.
Vitamin D with a sun angle of 90 degrees is 4 times more effective than at 25 degrees. So there are some vitamin D apps out there, D-Minder, and there's like a circadian rhythm app you can find. And they're going to tell you can make vitamin D at all sorts of times that I don't think are true. And they're looking maybe at a sun angle of 25 degrees. And they're saying you can make D if you go outside right now. And while technically that's true, it's 4 times less effective than making D when the sun angle is 50 degrees. And you'll barely make enough D at 25 degrees to make it worth your while to even be out there, unless you're completely naked and you spend a really long time. So in general, what you need to know is when the temperature is below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, you're mostly not going to make any vitamin D. There's no ultraviolet light at sunrise or sunset. So if you're like, I'm going outside every day for a walk, a friend of ours did this every day for a walk at sunrise, every day, no shirt on, shorts, their vitamin D did not increase. And I was like, Dan, you have to go outside at solar noon. Solar noon does not mean noon o'clock. It means solar noon, which I'll tell you what that means in 1 minute. You have to go outside at solar noon and do the same thing and your vitamin D will increase. Lo and behold, he did that. His vitamin D increased. In the winter, he used a very specialized form of a tanning lamp / tanning bed, which I'll tell you about in a minute. I saw a question, and that also raised vitamin D in the winter. So solar noon is the best time of day to get vitamin D, assuming in Wisconsin and Minnesota, it is between the months of mid-April to the very end of September. It's the only time you can get vitamin D. So April to September, that's really it. Beyond that, you will not get vitamin D from being outside, no matter how naked you are.
At our parallel.
Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep. Other states, I don't know. You got to look it up on your own. I'll show you exactly how to do that. It's really easy. You'll know it once and you can kind of go from there and you never have to look it up again. So the sun angle gets steeper as we get closer to solar noon, and at solar noon, around the equinox, which is when the sun is the strongest, June 21st, is going to be the steepest angle, the best time to get vitamin D. Solar noon changes just like the time of sunrise changes all year. So solar noon right now is the time when the sun is the most intense for the day. Solar noon on September 16th here in Wisconsin is going to be about 2 p.m. That's when solar noon, the highest intensity solar light is. And if I wanted to make vitamin D today, I'd want to be out between about 1:30 to 3:30 or 1:30 to 2:30, somewhere in that time period when the sun is the strongest and at the steepest angle to make vitamin D. You're not going to make vitamin D at sunrise or sunset. It doesn't happen.
But you wouldn't do that any time of year. You wouldn't make vitamin D or
September 16th,
right?
At 1:30 or 2 o'clock is when the sun is at the steepest angle for Wisconsin.
And you'll be screen sharing and showing people how to do that. And will it say solar noon when solar noon is too? Okay.
Yep, it'll tell you in the resources that I'll show you. There's just 2 pages of resources. You can bookmark them and you can know the stuff that I'm saying to you for your place that you live in the world. So solar noon on June 21st was probably noon. Solar noon in April is also probably about 2 p.m.
Okay.
So you can look that up, and I could be off on the timing for today. It's going to be close to that. We're going to look it up. And remember, enough exposure of skin at the right time of day and the right time of year. If you're out there in mid-October trying to get vitamin D, you're not going to be making vitamin D. There's just not a steep enough angle of the sun. So what happens is, like we know in the winter, the sun never rises as high and it's colder. And what's happening is the angle of the sun is not as steep in the winter. So we don't get that steep angle that produces the vitamin D rays, the UVB rays in the sky for us to make vitamin D. You simply can't do it in the winter, but that's the time when you need it the most. So number one, manufacture enough D in the summer by getting outside all spring, summer, and fall with as few clothes on as possible, as close to solar noon as possible for 15 to 30 minutes. People with lighter skin need less time. People with darker skin need longer times in the sun to absorb the same amount of D. So I may need 45 minutes. You with really light skin might need 10 to 12 minutes, and that's it. And we'd absorb about the same amount.
How do you know that? Like, how do you feel like you're getting burned? Like that's the litmus test of how long people.
You never want to turn pink or get burned at all. You also want to protect yourself because you need to do this sensibly, right? It's not like go and get burned and absorb sun all day long. These parts of our eyes are the most sensitive to cancers and photo aging. So like you don't need to absorb vitamin D right here. So I personally, like, I don't like to wear sunscreen. So I'll put a hat on when I'm outside in intense sun. I don't wear sunglasses. We'll talk about that in a second, but I want to protect this part of my face. That doesn't need to absorb the D. I allow these parts of my body to absorb the D and I protect these other parts.
Great. And what about morning sunlight? You want to talk about that? Or are we going to get to it?
So you can create a solar callus. So again, as you begin absorbing your D for the year and getting the UVB rays, you can maybe spend 5 minutes in the sun and then 8 minutes in the sun. And each day you can increase the amount of time in the sun to build a solar callus. To build a solar callus faster, getting out and exposing the most skin you can at sunrise when there's no UV allows your body to absorb lots of infrared light. That infrared light allows you to absorb more ultraviolet light later in the day. So the sun allows you to absorb more sun depending on the time you're in it. So if you want to absorb the most vitamin D, get out at sunrise and again at solar noon. All right. So Heidi's taking photos of the dog.
He's laying on the grounding mat.
Last thing I want to say is remember, well, there's two things. Just remember you store this in your fat for later use. So if you want to be optimally healthy in the winter, store as much D in the summer as you can. We're a little bit beyond that for most people. So you've either got some catch up to do or you can supplement, and we'll talk about how to supplement without using pills.
Why are you
Fi-
talking about ketchup?
Finally, finally, if you,
Sorry. Now I lost this train of thought. Playing ketchup.
okay, finally, if you get outside and you start manufacturing D in your skin, you do not want to go right indoors and shower with soap. In fact, if you know anything about optimal health, you don't use soap on your skin, except maybe under your underarms and like down below, right? So that's probably the only place you ever want to use soap, unless you're like, I got a bunch of grease here and I need to get it off. Otherwise, you will wash off the sulfonated cholesterol that's making the D sits on the skin for sometimes up to 2 days before it absorbs. So if you go and soap up your body, you're going to be washing off some of the vitamin or the hormone that you're making. So I would highly recommend you just really learn how to bathe yourself where you're not using lots of chemicals on your body. You're optimizing your skin and the things that absorb into you by allowing the natural things to absorb into you and not chemical soaps and other things.
Thaddeus, do you recommend, sometimes I like to put coconut oil on if I don't have a lot of time. I'm just like, I want to get out in the sun, like last week. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to throw some coconut oil on so I don't have to stay out as long. Is there a difference? Does that matter?
I don't know.
Okay.
Some people say like they had those tanning creams that give you a better tan faster and they always smelled like coconut. I don't know if that's what was in them. They're probably trying to mimic coconut oil.
Yeah.
I don't know if adding oils to your skin makes you absorb light faster. Don't know.
Well, it seems like I get more tan when I do that, like a deeper tan. So like only myself experimenting, but I'm just curious if you had any take on the cholesterol thing or whatever. Okay. And it was just pure coconut oil. So like, that's it. And my son Michelangelo likes to wear coconut oil, and he actually gets out of the shower and he'll like put coconut oil all over, side note, you guys, all over his skin. And he's like, Mom, it actually like it feels really good when it's absorbing into my skin. Like he's kind of metaphysical that way. But anyway.
There you have it. We're going to show you a couple websites where you can determine where you live, when you can get vitamin D and when you cannot. They're really simple and you can bookmark them. And then we'll answer some questions.
All right, ready to share the screen?
Let's share.
All right, let's go here.
The first one will be Mercola.com. Here's the one that I wanted.
Isn't that fun?
So vitamin D synthesis in the month of September, which is the month that we're in right now. And you can see basically anywhere where it's not red. So orange, yellow, green, and blue, you're pretty much not going to be making vitamin D. So if you see where Wisconsin and Minnesota are on the map, hopefully you know where those states are and you're not challenged like the younger generation seems to be on finding things geographically. You don't make vitamin D right now. It's very unlikely. And you can scroll to October and you're pretty much never going to make vitamin D. And then November, even less. Even in Florida, it's not super likely, even in November, unless you're in Southern Florida, that you're going to be making D. So this little chart can really just tell you for your area, like a really quick idea. And this is on Mercola.com.
How come they excluded? Oh, go back to the one. It looks like they excluded Alaska, but no, it's on there. It's not showing even.
You can't make any in Alaska. It's below the blue.
You never make D in Alaska.
Yeah, you do. In June.
When?
In June in southern Alaska. Right there. It's
Barely.
Yellow, barely.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh
that's pretty.
Yeah.
They
Oh.
yeah. Anyway. So you can see the website, hopefully, and you can follow that if you want to go there. And the next website that I want to show you, timeanddate.com. And we're going to
Hold on, let it catch up.
And we're going to go to sun, moon, and space, sun calculator. It's pretty simple. You can look up your city. So let's just say we're in Minneapolis. We can just do Minnesota. And it's going to tell you a number of things.
Click Stillwater. That's closest to us. If you, oh, we don't need to click anything. Okay.
All right. Now, what I want to show is it will tell you when solar noon is and the angle of the sun, but I am not seeing it here right now. So let me find the sun angle, but I just looked at this yesterday. I just found out about the site. There used to be one from NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, that would tell you the sun angle at every minute of the day for every day of the year for your zip code. And I can't find that anymore. So I was directed to go here, and I went here yesterday, and it gave me the solar noon and the angle of the sun at solar noon. So you can even say, it says, what is solar noon here? And I am looking for the solar noon clock so that we can see when solar noon is on here and what the angle of the sun is, because remember, it has to be really around 50 degrees for you to get the most vitamin D absorption. So I'm gonna have to play around with this.
50 degrees as that angle, not temperature, just to clarify, right?
Actually both, because remember, we like the quick rule of thumb is if it's below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, you're not going to get vitamin D.
Oh, really?
That's just a quick rule of thumb. It doesn't always work, but it's in general roughly true.
Whoa.
And then the 50-degree sun angle is also something. So again, you'll need to talk while I play around and figure this out.
All right. Well, how's everybody doing today?
Why don't you have them answer some of the questions while I figure
Okay.
this out.
So, well, they're asking you the questions. So we have a tanning bed question. Tara wants to know if you can supplement. Hey, it's 1:44. If you can supplement with tanning bed in the winter, can you multitask?
You can talk about it.
I don't know. Like, I mean,
You definitely know.
You can supplement with a Spurdy vitamin, no, not vitamin, UVB lamp, right? Did I get that right?
So you can use a tanning bed, correct?
But it has to be UVB.
Correct. So you can use a tanning bed, and most tanning beds have UVA lamps in them.
Okay.
And that'll just give you a tan, but it won't give you any D. So if you want to mimic the sun and make vitamin D or hormone D, you have to have UVB rays.
Okay. And that's how our friend Dan, he showed it by showing us his labs. He was at 50. What's the measurement that they use?
Nanograms per milliliter.
Nanograms per milliliter, whatever, you guys. And he sat in front of his Spurdy, it's SPERTI Spurdy lamp. And I think he said, 5 minutes every single morning or every single afternoon. And he moved the needle up to 80. So that was pretty impressive for a supplement that is not the sun as a tanning bed. So let me just look at some of the other questions here.
Yeah. So yes, you can use a tanning bed. Yes, they're very effective. And that is what we use in the winter is we use a tanning bed. We don't use a bed, we use a tanning lamp called Spurdy, SPERTI. And we use the Spurdy tanning lamp. There's also a Spurdy vitamin D lamp, but I like to supplement with both ultraviolet A and ultraviolet B in the winter. We're missing both of those when we come indoors. So lots of tanning booths and tanning beds contain both UVA and UVB. You just have to ask, because the critical one is the UVB. So you can make vitamin or hormone D in your skin while you're using the tanning.
Awesome.
I did find this. I don't know why it didn't come up when I put in St. Paul, Minnesota or Minneapolis, Minnesota, but you can go to timeanddate.com. You click on sun and moon, and then you go to sun. And this is for Woodbury, Minnesota. And we can scroll down here, and it's going to tell us for the whole month of September, sunrise, sunset, and solar noon. So we are at the 16th. Solar noon is 1 p.m. So I thought it was 2 p.m. I was off by an hour. And the angle of the sun at solar noon is 47 degrees. So we're still getting hormone D or UVB from the sun in the morning. So what we want though is the angle from the horizon. So like this 274 degrees at sunrise and sunset, these are not the angles from the horizon. So there's a different graph that you would need if you want to measure the angle from the horizon of the sun, because it's not 47 degrees from the horizon. You need to measure what's called the azimuth of the sun, and we'll show you that in a minute. But this just tells you like, where is solar noon?
I like the little graph you just scrolled past. Nope, go back down right there.
Mhm.
Kind of shows you. That's
You
cool.
can play around with it.
Yeah.
So altitude is not the angle that we're looking at to create UVB. It's the azimuth of
Right.
the sun. So we can look up sun azimuth, but this will just tell you like when is solar noon and what that would be the peak time to manufacture D in your skin at solar noon. And you can of course go to October or wherever and find out when solar noon is every day of the year.
Okay, so can you say solar noons at 1 p.m. We can be out an hour before, an hour later, and still get some benefit, but just not as much, right? Like
It depends because at solar noon in October, there may be no times when the sun is at the right angle.
Oh, okay.
So we want the azimuth, and that's the azimuth is what I want to know is, can I get the sun azimuth angle for my
Okay.
zip code?
For your zip code. And then I'm going to answer Kara your question. So it says the only benefit to showing skin outside in winter is for cold exposure, nothing related to the sun. I would say correct, but we'll verify that with Thaddeus. I mean, I don't know. I think isn't there a melanopsin receptors in your skin that are reading the light? So that's actually not true. Did I just answer?
I didn't hear what you question
So
was.
Kara wants to know the only benefit to showing skin outside in the winter for cold exposure. She said nothing related to the sun. And then I was like, wait a minute, we have melanopsin in our skin. So your skin's reading the light. So it would be like helping build cortisol to wake you up, right?
You can build all that through the eye, but
Okay.
there's still infrared and red. 42% of the sun at sunrise is infrared and red, and people pay thousands of dollars for infrared and red therapy devices. So if you took your shirt off or exposed skin in the winter, you're absorbing red and infrared.
Oh, okay.
You're also absorbing blue light, which is beneficial, except when you come indoors.
Right.
So blue light plus cold, there's a theory that can produce D in the blood vessels from cold
right.
plus blue light, only if you expose skin in the winter. This is the NOAA website, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration.gov. You can put your city in here, and it's September 16th, and we can calculate the solar position. And remember, we're looking at the it should be the azimuth, but the azimuth is saying 215, but it should never get above a certain number, and that's too high. So that's not the exact number we're looking for. So I'll have to link the resources here to the page where it gives you the right. It might be elevation. Let me just see the exact thing that we're looking for.
It's a 42 number in the elevation.
See, azimuth and elevation measured clockwise. So this is measured clockwise from true north to the horizon. Elevation is measured vertically from the horizon to the object. So it might be elevation in this case. Other NOAA websites, or maybe it was the NASA website, were using azimuth as the angle from the horizon. It looks like they're using elevation in this case. So they've got elevation as 42 degrees. So I would imagine, if what I'm saying is correct, that in November around solar noon, we're not going to see a solar elevation anywhere near even 40 degrees. So you won't be making vitamin D. 21 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So remember, we only manufacture D from 25 degrees to 50 degrees angle from the horizon. And so at 21 degrees, you're not making any hormone D. And at 25 degrees, you're making 4 times less than at 50 degrees. So even if we could get this number to 25, you're barely making any hormone D. So again, if we go probably to April, we should start to see the sun angle around noon right about now start to reach 50. So there we go, 49 degrees. And then I'm assuming in June, we're going to be even more, 60. So that's a lot of D production you can have in your skin.
Okay, so getting out in the summer months, exposing as much skin to the solar noon, well, not necessarily solar noon, so you can make more throughout different times of day, but so I guess it's confusing because like that banks up the D for the rest of the winter. Is that correct? Not the rest of the winter, but as we fall into winter.
You're using D all year round. All the time we're using D in our body to keep us optimally healthy. So if you only are outside in the summer for 5 minutes, you're going to store some D and then you're going to use it. So what you want to do is if you want to store some D for the winter, you need to get extra. So solar noon is when you make the most D. So being out at solar noon and staying out as long as you can to where you make the most D in that time and store it. Remember, a pill gives you 400 IUs per pill. One pill, 400 IUs of D, 50,000 IUs of D from one sun session. It's a huge difference.
Okay.
So getting out in the sun for a long enough time, ideally as close to solar noon as you can, allows you to bank up that D for the winter, like you're saying.
Okay. And then for how long? Because I've heard you say, like Dr. Jack Cruz says, you need to go. Are you going to get into that? Like,
well, I said it earlier. So 15 to 30 minutes.
No. I mean, how long through the winter? And then you have to go south again.
You want to store as much D as humanly possible all spring, summer, and fall. So the more you store, the less problems you'll have in the winter with low D levels. Most of us, especially if you're fighting an infection or something else, you're going to burn through D faster. If you're fighting off tumor cells, I don't know what it is, but you could be utilizing your D faster, or you didn't store enough D. As we age, our synthesis of hormone D is less efficient. So when we get it through December and into January, most of us are deficient in D. So then it's like a matter of how do I catch up and get more D into my body?
Okay. So that's when we spend more time in the morning in the red light room and in front of the spurty light to supplement, or we travel south.
Right. So there's really, as far as we know, only 3 ways to generate D in the winter. You can take a pill, which we just said is not ideal. And I don't take it myself. And I won't take D pills, just from what I've learned. Not that they're not helpful for some people, but I don't want those pills in my body if I can get it naturally.
Where do you know where they get it? Like, what's the source? I'm always interested in the source of, like,
I think it's from a bacteria that they synthesize it from.
Oh.
As most things in the lab these days come from some kind of bacterias. They get the bacteria to synthesize it and they collect it, I think.
Oh,
pretty sure.
Okay. So anybody knows that, let us know.
So then the next best way, if you don't want to go anywhere, is combining cold, so exposing some skin to the cold plus the light. You could manufacture some D in your blood vessels, and pairing that with a tanning bed. So a spurty light is just, 2 feet by 1 foot box that you can put in your bathroom, and you can get ultraviolet B light from the spurty light, or you can go to a tanning bed or a tanning booth or whatever. But that is how you do it if you stay in one place. Otherwise, you travel to the light. Southern Florida, South America.
Don't go into the light. Just kidding. You travel to the light. Wouldn't you have to go to the Caribbean then, according to that?
Southern Florida looks like it still had some.
Okay.
And like I said, South America, Caribbean, whatever.
Okay.
You need to head towards the equator in the winter, and then you can stock up. And from what we're told, like 2 days in the sun of absorbing enough vitamin D can give you a boost of D for about 6 weeks. So if you do it in January, you might have enough to get you through the rest of the time when you can't make D at home.
Interesting. Okay. And then if we're supplementing, because I know some of the people here have access to red lights and UV spurty lamps and stuff. So my question is always, we use the red light, infrared light in the morning, because that's when it would be in the sunlight, right? That's what we're trying to mimic. And then optimally, we would use the spurty at noon.
If you are attempting to mimic nature as best as possible, you would only use the lights during daylight hours,
right?
Red and infrared in the morning, and UVB light closer to solar noon.
Okay.
I am not able to do that because that's a lot of time back and forth, and some people have to go to work. So if you need to use all the lights at once, first thing when you wake up or before bed, that's what you can do.
Okay. So
I saw a question too on sunglasses.
Yeah, contacts. Chris wants to know, do wearing contacts or sunglasses while out in the sun affect absorption?
And it does. So if you think about light as information, and if our eyes read that information, and produce physiological and physical changes in the body, which we know is true. Because light through the eye sets cortisol, melatonin, all sorts of other hormones, serotonin, 10 chemicals in the brain, all through light in the eye. So if we block light from getting in the eye, sunglasses block all the ultraviolet light. So basically, we're telling our body by wearing sunglasses that there's no ultraviolet in our environment. So we walk into a high ultraviolet environment and we tell our body there's none there. The ultraviolet hits our skin and burns us really quickly and is not utilized very efficiently. If we take the sunglasses, glasses, and contacts off, we get information that there's high UV. Our body prepares for the UV by putting melanin on the skin so we don't get burned, and we get to absorb more ultraviolet light to heal us, to produce hormone D, and to do all these other beneficial things to our body. So can you wear glasses outside that aren't sunglasses? Yes, but we always say, like, put them down on the bridge of your nose so the light is still coming in through the eye, telling your brain and therefore your physiology what is happening in your environment. When you hide information from the environment, it surprises the body and it's not as healthy for you. So if you had glasses on outside, remember the sunlight's coming from above. So if you simply kind of put them like this, you're getting light through the eye. But if you're wearing contacts, almost all the contacts nowadays have UV protection in them. We need the UV information to help us be optimally healthy. So you really want to avoid wearing those things outdoors because you're losing these signals that help protect us and optimize our health.
I'm going to give you these back because these are Viva rays.
Okay.
So they're UV emitting.
Emitting? They give off UV?
I know they allow the UV to come in. That's what I got those for. That's my prescription, and it says that they're UV. We can look it up. I swear it says UV emitting. Let's look at it.
Where's the one that goes over it? Because I want to show people something. Okay, so
right there.
So this version is special, and it will allow the ultraviolet. They didn't put an ultraviolet protective coating on it, so it will allow ultraviolet to come through, which is what you want. Now, the benefit of these is you can turn them into blue blockers at night.
So UV transmitter.
They allow the transmission of UV through the lens.
Yeah.
Until you do this.
Right.
When you add the blue light blocker, this is called a UV 400 lens. So blue blockers block 100% of the blue light, which we need to do at night. But anytime you put a blue light blocking coating on a lens, it also blocks 100% of the UV light. So while these allow ultraviolet to transmit, as soon as you make them into blue blockers, they cannot transmit ultraviolet because even the coating itself is called UV 400.
Okay.
Is what it does.
Okay. But I just wanted to show him that I got these glasses from vivarays.com. You guys, we have a discount code there too. You can get a nice discount. But I had a prescription built in to this cute frame. This is the Allegra frame. And these are a progressive lens. I got the whole package for like $500-$600. And what sold me was like, I can still, if I needed to, which I don't wear them as much as possible because I'm actually working on getting my eyesight better. But doing the UV transmitter, like the opposite of what the rest of the world tells you, right? Like I want the UV to come in to the glasses. So that's what these are for. And it's vivarays.com. And that little situation, sorry, Thaddeus, where they magnetize. So I have 3 different pairs of these. I have a daytime pair that I snap on, and I have the nighttime, so after sunset. And then I have a red pair, which is supposedly mimics like firelight at night and induces sleep. So those are sleep glasses.
Well, so the benefit is these are prescription.
Yeah.
This is not.
Right.
So these have no prescription. They're just the blue blockers, and you can put them over the prescription. So now you can have a prescription set of lenses that you can make into blue blockers without having multiple pairs of glasses. And they also, if you just have cheaters or readers, they also make those for readers if you want that. So the quick question was asked about clouds and like the smoke from the fires in Canada. Yeah. So it's true, when it is cloudy or foggy or smoky, you're not going to get the same amount of UVB. So you cannot manufacture D on really cloudy days. You can manufacture some,
Okay.
but on cloudy days, smoky days, hazy days, you're really not going to make as much. So as whatever's occurring in our world where they're blocking out a lot of the sun that comes to our plane here of the ground to us, we're getting a lot less than ever before. I mean, there is a constant haze over the atmosphere now that was never there before. We used to see deep blue skies. Now it's always hazy for whatever reason. Every time you look up, it is almost never deep blue. You can see some blue, but there's always a constant haze around the entire Earth. That does block a lot of our ability to make D in our bodies.
So we can supplement, right?
Well, I mean, supplementation with light is always my first go-to before you supplement with a pill.
That's what I'm saying. Supplement with the Spurdy lamp or
tanning bed.
Tanning bed. Is the Spurdy better or worse than a tanning bed? And then what about, I know there's quite a few women here and they're concerned about like complexion and what we've been told about, photo aging and that kind of stuff. Like, do you have a preference in one or the other?
So there's no difference between the Spurdy and a tanning bed. Same lamps.
Okay.
The way I use the tanning lamp is I only get the tanning ultraviolet rays from my neck down. I don't allow it to get on my face.
Okay.
So I do think you can and probably would be better off protecting your face and your eyes from the UV. Remember, like they give you goggles for the tanning bed. So if you buy a Spurdy lamp to use at home, you need to wear glasses. If you look at that light, you will burn your eyes. Yeah. And I had a friend that did that with the Spurdy lamp. Remember, blue blockers, this color blue blocker is called UV 400. It will block all the UV. So if you go into your tanning bed, tanning lamp with your blue blockers on, it's going to block the UV from your eyes.
But don't you want some of that light in your eyes to wake up? Like, isn't that what part of that does?
The blue light wakes you up.
Yeah.
But not the ultraviolet.
Not the UV. Oh gosh, you guys, this is so fascinating.
And you're going to get some of the UV under here. But I tell you what, if you open your eyes and you're standing in front of that light, it will burn them.
Okay.
It's too intense.
We have new questions. I feel like there's some new questions here. New comments. Okay, good to know. Thank you for answering.
Somebody wants to see the light. Somebody wants to see the light.
What do these lights look like? Can you show us? Well, aw, Thaddeus, you're so sweet. All right, let's give Thaddeus some love in the comments because it's a pain in the ass. That Spurdy lamp is like, I don't know, maybe we need to put it somewhere else. It's in our closet. We have a closet because Thaddeus works at 7 a.m. So he goes in and does the red light. Oh, Thaddeus, a lot of love coming in here for you. And so you guys, he rigs up our closet. We've got like 1, 2, 3, like 3 different red infrared lights. And then we've got the Spurdy like set up. So he just got the Spurdy.
And yes, we got a new roof put on our house and you can see where it leaked before they put the new roof on. So that'll be taken care of this winter, but you get to see our beautiful, it's not black mold. Don't worry.
Oh, did somebody say that?
No, but I'm noticing that. I'm like, oh my God, that looks awful.
No, I don't even know. Like what?
We've been waiting a year to get the new roof that the insurance paid for because they're so backed up. Anyway, new roof is finally installed. This is the Spurdy. So you can see where it says Spurdy. This is the tanning or the Fiji sun lamp. It has both UVA and UVB bulbs. You can buy a Spurdy vitamin D lamp that just has UVB bulbs only. Again, in winter, when we come indoors, we live 95% of our time indoors these days. So when are we absorbing this D from the sun? We're often not. And when we come indoors, we miss UVA, UVB, red, and infrared. The windows block 50% of the red and infrared, but let in 100% of the blue. So we are blue light toxic from the devices and from the windows and from everything else. So when we come indoors, I like to mimic A, B, and red and infrared. So in our room, we're going to have, we have this little room, it's called our light room, and it's got this lamp.
I was just
And,
talking about it.
and I only use this for about 3 minutes a day when I first start out, and I work my way up to about 8 to 9 minutes a day, about 3 to 4 days a week of using this. I'll use red and infrared light every single day, but I won't use UVA and UVB every single day. I'll do it 3 to 4, maybe 5 days a week at most. And again, I start out in the fall with short times of using this light, and I build up to longer times. It can give you a burn. So everyone's kind of familiar with tanning beds, just not everyone's familiar with them in this format. It'll still work like a tanning bed and burn you if you're not careful.
Okay, everybody, put on your blue blocker.
You got it.
Oh,
Yeah,
there it goes.
it's turned on.
Yeah, so it looks like a UV lamp, right?
Yep.
I
Yeah,
can
sure.
smell it. That's so funny.
You're selling the ozone that's created from it.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
What does that do? Let's keep going.
That's a
This
different
is-
master class.
That's a different master class. Okay. All right. Do you want to grab a red light?
You don't have a little lamp here?
I do not. Can you grab a box one so you can show the red and infrared? Hey, babe, let's put that somewhere else so we can use it at a different time. He just looked at me like, what? Maybe. All right, you guys, hopefully you've been learning a ton. Isn't he just like a wealth of information? So we're recording this and we're going to be using this class after I edit the video, and it will be part of a bonus video in Biohacking 101, which like we're getting so close. We're like 1, 2, 3, 4 videos away from being done. And Thaddeus is just, oh my God, you guys, he's packing on so many bonus videos and tutorials and how-tos that's why it's taking us a little bit longer, because we have our 7 days done for Biohacking 101 course. And that is all complete. It's done. The videos are edited, ready to roll, but we're packing on like a VIP and a bundle and like all this stuff. And we're really making it super, super juicy and super informational. So this video will be in with that bundle as well. But you guys are getting a little sneak peek to like, this is the stuff we're talking about in like every different form. So this is just about supplement, as we found out today, supplement D. So super esoteric knowledge that hormone D. That, you know what, nobody really is talking about this stuff, and you'll be able to get in our course, you'll be able to get all of that in one place. So we're really excited about that. So, all right, here's the red and infrared light.
You can see on the bottom, it's upside down or backwards for you, but it is red and near infrared, NIR. So let me just turn on the near infrared. Most people like to see this demonstrated. It's on.
Oh, it's fascinating.
Remember, infrared and ultraviolet are invisible, but we know that they affect us and we can measure the effect. You can get a sunburn or a suntan from invisible light. So near infrared is invisible, but very healing, and it penetrates deeper in the body than red. So this is the near infrared. So now then I can go and turn on the red.
Whoa.
And so you'll
That's
see some of
intense.
these are invisible. Those are the near infrared bulbs. And then the visible ones are the red bulbs.
There. Now you can see it.
You can't really see the invisible ones quite so well, but very intense. This is made for red light therapy. This is a little tiny unit. You could use it for your face. We have full body panels that we use in our little red light room. This is just a little extra one we had sitting around. Easier for me to grab than a 6-foot panel.
And okay, so there's also some technical stuff with if you get one of those lights, how close do you stand? How long do you stand? You want to throw any of that information? You went through that with the UV. It might be helpful for the red.
Yeah, it's pretty dependent.
Okay.
You need to know the intensity of the lamp.
So let's just back up. So if somebody wanted to purchase one of these, where would you go? And was it Gemba Red?
Yeah, there's lots and lots of red light therapy companies that exist nowadays. And the best one that we know of, because it has the lowest EMF and the best price and the most educational information available, is Gemba Red, GEMBA. gembared.com. And we just send people there because he's one of the most honest people. He reviews other people's lights, including his own. And they just, honestly, they have the best prices and they all technically work about the same. But you need to know the intensity of the light to know how far to stand from the light and how long to stand in front of the light. They're all different intensities. They're different angles of the LED that also changes how long you can stand in front of the light and how deep it penetrates. And whether the EMF is very high coming off the light. The higher the EMF, the less time you want to be really close to it.
So Gemba Red has the lowest EMF, I would imagine. Like he's really good about that, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then do we have any of that on our website? Like, can they go to our Shopify store to get the Gemba Red light lamps?
We have some on our Primalhacker shop, just a couple. We don't have all the therapeutic lights that he has. We just have 2.
Okay. So if you go to our store, primalhacker.com, we have it's a Gemba Red Groove for $2.99. And then actually, you know what? Let's screen share again, you guys, because this is helpful. Like, I think this is helpful because I don't know about you guys, but I like my melatonin at night as well. And this is what preserves your melatonin. Are you able to see this? Let's see. Why does it just show Zoom?
Is this Safari that you're in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. What am I in here? Let's try that again. Desktop 2. No.
Yeah. You want to share this desktop?
Right? Okay. But then I want to go to Gemba Red or to our page. Is it on? I can't tell. Are you guys seeing our Primalhacker page?
It says we're sharing.
Oh, no. I don't think it shows what we're.
That's okay. It's just.
Okay. Anyway, we'll not do that. But anyway, go to the primalhacker.com website and there's a Gemba Red mini calm reading light. And so that at night is really helpful. It's still bright enough where you can read. I can read, like I'm reading Clan of the Cave Bear right now and the text is really small, but without destroying your melatonin. And then we've got the Gemba Red Orb Corn Cob screw and light bulb.
It's just a light bulb that you can replace any standard light bulb with, but it's red light.
All right. And then we've got the Gemba Red near infrared and the Rex. Okay.
So the groove and the Rex are therapeutic lights and they're 1 foot by 1 foot squares. So smaller, they're smaller than this one. So you can bring them into your bed, you can put them on your body, you can have them on the couch, where a 3 foot to 6 foot panel, you're going to hang it in one place and it's never going to move. So Gemba Red sells those. I just don't have them on our website. You got to go to gembared.com. But on our website, we've got the portable ones that you can use for light at night. You can use on your body while you're sitting on the couch, whatever you want to do. They're more portable, which can be kind of nice for some people.
There is a diminishing return. We're going to talk about that really quick because, okay, you guys, we have a whole series on red light in our biohacking.
Yeah, this is not the red light masterclass.
But it's like, and we're going to get questions about it. I might as well just address them up front. But
you can buy our biohacking course.
Just quick, say the diminishing return. You don't want to sit in front of it too long. Because when we first started, we were like sitting in front of it for too many sessions, I think.
Well, again, it depends on the intensity. So beyond a certain amount of time, if you're in front of a red light too long, it starts to create free radicals and damage. So red light should be healing, but if you're in front of the red light for too long, that's no bueno.
Yeah. Okay. So Hetty's saying, will you have all the lights on your page so we can get them all in one place?
Yeah, we can add whatever lights. So Andrew owns Gemba Red. He's a friend of ours. So we can add any of those products to our page that we want. And we can sometimes have a slight discount on those beyond what you get on their page.
Okay.
Thankfully.
But the Spurdy lamp, you'll have to source on your own. So that's not, but and that's like, you guys, I like, honestly, getting the red light for the winter, the Gemba Red reading light and the Spurdy, like that would be the bundle I would purchase after I heard what you said today. Like that's what I would get. Yeah,
that's what we use. And we use it for a reason because of more than a decade of study, knowing that light impacts our biology more than the biochemistry. The light runs the biochemistry inside of us. So getting the light right is more important than getting the food and the movement right. Light right first, then movement, food, sleep, all those other things follow.
And then blue light blocking glasses. So those are that's the equipment, that the light equipment that you'll need. All right, you guys, any other questions? Let me know. If you're watching the replay, hit hashtag replay. Let's see, what should we say?
I want you to remember.
Not replay, just say hashtag D. I always do something kind of like fun or wild or whatever, but that's not very wild.
So D is a hormone, not a vitamin. It comes from our skin via light from the sun. It is storable in the body so that we can utilize it when we need it in the winter. And remember, if we're in a ketogenic situation where we're eating a ketogenic diet in the winter, that means we're liberating our own fat for energy. And as we use that fat for energy, we release the vitamin D that's been stored there in the winter right when we need it, which is why eating the right diet for the right season is so powerful, because we need vitamin D. It's stored in the fat. We destroy the fat cell to have energy, and we release the D right when we need it.
Okay, and that information will be in our upcoming course. So look for that in a couple of weeks. And then do you have your book here? So on our website as well, hibernation diet is what Thaddeus was just talking about. We've got blue light blocking glasses, so you can grab a pair on our website, and then his book. And we weren't like coming on here to sell stuff anyway, you guys. Like, this is just for information and education, but these are resources and we have them curated. That is curated all this stuff on, and he wrote this book, and that's what he wrote the book about, is a seasonal, I don't like to say word diet, but seasonal diet. He calls it the hibernation diet.
Specifically for winter, a winter way of eating.
Yeah, winter way of eating. So there's even clip-on glasses, but there's some good resources in here. And so I highly recommend grabbing his book, because again, you're not going to get this information pretty much anywhere else. I don't think anybody's ever written a book about how to eat in the winter, especially if you live here. Like, this is what we do in the winter, and we go keto in the winter as our ancestors did, as Thaddeus just talked about. So, all right, if you have any other questions, otherwise give Thaddeus some love. Again, you guys, thank you. Okay, Hetty says, is your coaching include learning more about? Oh yeah, definitely, Hetty. Yes, 100%. So she's asking, does my coaching include learning more about this and help guide through this new journey? 100%. That is like at least half of what we talk about in my coaching programs. So it's all biohacking, the foundations, and I go through everything that, like, these are the most important things. And then we move into mindset, and then creating the life and goals and what it is you want to create in this lifetime. So it's really, mind, body, spirit. So we do spiritual practices as well. I make you your own custom, and Julie Hager can testify for that. But I just made her own custom Kundalini. It ended up being 2 hours. And so Kundalini program, basically, that she can use. It's a 20-minute, it's got a little 20-minute segment. It's got a 60-minute segment, and it's got a like meditation at the end that I created for her. So she can use any of those pieces or the whole thing if she's got 2 hours. So that's really what it is. So how do you sign up? You make an appointment with me. So hit me up, DM me, or I'll DM you on Facebook, and we will create a time that we can meet on Zoom and have a conversation and make sure it's like, this is, here's the expectations, here's what it is, here's how much it costs, and we go through all that stuff. So that is a little bit about my coaching. So thanks for asking about that, Heather. And what other questions do you guys have? Let us know. I will be coming back into the group off and on throughout the weekend to, if you're like, oh, I do want to talk about this and blah, blah. What is this? I didn't see this Tara Ann one. I wonder if, Wilhelm Reich, what? Oh, Tara, you're so funny. Oh my God. You crack me up. Oh my gosh. We need to have a call soon, Tara. Oh my goddess, you are hilarious.
Organite, cloud bursting, whatever you can do. Electroculture.
Do you know what that is, Tara? Electroculture and cloud bursting. We practice cloud bursting. And we also you can go out in the sunlight in the morning. We learned this from Crow 777 radio. Crow, he kind of stands on his land and he says a little mantra, and it's like, we have dominion and we have our God-given right to the sun. So if we feel like there are what?
Well, he claims his natural law or God-given rights to the creation. So we were made, so according to Crow, based on the Bible, we were made beneficiaries of this creation.
Yeah.
So as a beneficiary, we have rights to natural sun without it being blocked from us. So he claims those rights every day and does not consent to people taking away his absorption of the rays of the sun.
Right. So if you're thinking like some weather can be manipulated and manufactured, that's like the little mantra. So I was trying to say earlier is like, that's the mantra that you can say it, and like, we have dominion. So that's cloud bursting, but you can also like set your attention on a cloud. And I've done it a little bit and it seems to like have broken up. I know people that do it and they do it often, and it's like, they can cloud burst a lot. So, just some more esoteric information. Love it though. All right, you guys, we're going to go. It's actually went on a little bit longer than we thought, and love having every single one of you here. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for being here as well. Just let us know what you guys want to learn, what do you have questions about, and we'll address them. And then Thaddeus is going to add another light to maybe you should make a little bundle on the website. Wouldn't that be nice? He's like, when I get to it, he's super busy. You guys, we're like hyper focused on getting this. Thank you, Heather. You have a great weekend too. We're super hyper focused on getting Biohacking 101 out to the world. So we're wrapping things up, and I'm doing final video edits and adding more stuff. So it'll be hopefully ready within the next couple weeks. We're hoping October 1st, but we're not going to set a hard deadline because we want to make sure like it's to the level that we want it at as well. So not going to sacrifice any quality. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. And is there anything else you want to say?
No.
Thaddeus is kind of stoic. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Thaddeus, for coming, babe. I appreciate it and teaching us.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
Okay. See you. Have a great weekend.